about a month before the baby was due, Rhonda and the baby were killed in a car crash. Louis never really came back from that. May his memory be a blessing.
So why have Louis die and then also talk about that viewing room scene, which is like this season's honor walk, just like from an acting perspective, but also from directing it?
Why did Louis die? You want to have the loss of a patient impact staff. Patients most of the time that come through are anonymous, that you have no personal connection to. A frequent flyer like Louis who comes in, perennially for treatment, for maintenance, for to get in from the cold, to be sociable, becomes almost a kind of familial member to this emergency department. And yet his behavior and his inability to curb his drinking was going to take a toll eventually. We talked about that all through season 1, that there's really only one place where this leads. And Louis even says that he's sort of digging his own grave in full knowledge that this is an unsustainable practice. So it seemed inevitable that this is where we would go with the character. Because the character is so sentimentally beloved, obviously it's going to have great dramatic impact. And I was fortunate enough to get the episode to direct where that all comes to a head. And that moment where everybody takes a minute and says something about Louis that from the perspective in which they knew him or were allowed to know him was a lovely, but what I love best about it is its brevity, because you can only take so much time before you've got to get back to work. And so it's a solemn moment. It's a heartfelt moment. It's an honest moment. It's revelatory about the character. It honors the character, honors the man. But then it's okay. Let's get back to it. There's more Louis out there.
First of all, for both of you, how are Langdon and Dana feeling about Louis' death? And then Patrick, talk about that viewing room scene. And then Katherine, like the moments that Dana took with Louis, like separate from that.
For me, I love the line, about, the frequent flyers and that they can, be a real pain in the ass. But like when they leave, it's like a wound in the forest, and, they're part of the community. And when I did my research with Kathy Garvin at County Hospital in Los Angeles, there was a frequent flyer there. And the way she talked about him was like, he's going to die soon. Like she knew he was going to die. And she knew all about him, and she explained to me how sometimes those people just come in there because they need attention, and it's not uncommon for an ED nurse to know these patients for a really long time and to care about them, So I think, it was sad for her. It was really sad.
Yeah, I think it was really sad for everybody. I think it was really sad for Langdon. I think Louis is somebody that Langdon has wronged, and I think that he's somebody that Langdon sees himself in, and he recognizes that we might be living different lives, but we've got the same wound, and we have Louis fights that Langdon is privileged enough to not have to fight. But I think they both got a hole in their bucket in a way that only an addict can understand. And I think whenever he comes back in, I think it's a real gift from the universe to be able to reckon with that. And it's a big loss when he goes.
And how was filming that viewing scene? Because it was kind of like last season's honor walk, it felt like.
Yeah, I mean, it was gorgeous. It was really sad, and it was again, it's amazing just to see the whole staff come together, see everybody come together and realize what for somebody like Louis, who was struggling with so much, still had so much to offer the world, and was still so valued by the staff and by the people around him. And even though he was really hurting, he still had an incredible light and an incredible gift to share with everyone around him.
Whitaker finds out about Louis' death in not the best way from Ogilvy, which was terrible. And then Robbie checks on him and says he's there if he wants to talk. Is season 2 Whitaker someone who would take Robbie up on that? Because his attempt to talk to around Santos didn't go so well. in that
To
episode.
talk with who?
To Santos, when he was talking to, he was kind of bringing up like, how some things go wrong, and Santos yawned because she was exhausted.
Yeah.
So is he like open to talking to Robbie about how he feels like with who he is now, or not?
I think he is. I think he's kind of walking the line at the moment of like, I don't think he has many people he can reach out to. And right now he's kind of in the process of kind of being able to self kind of regulate at the moment, and doesn't want to step on any toes, and has a lot to think about. He's looking after these med students, and it's his first year as a resident. So I think he's kind of undecided whether he can actually reach out and talk to people. But if there was anyone, I think it would be Robbie. And I think it would also be Dr. Robbie who would see it first and foremost. So he's being tentative at the moment, and maybe taking on too much himself right now. Yeah.
How's Whitaker doing after Louis' death?
I mean, it's interesting because like the death is always gonna happen. It's always gonna happen. So I think for me it was just about seeing a little bit of a change in Whitaker for better or good. That he now knows a little bit to put up a bit of a barrier to that. It's never not going to affect him. Yeah, and it's different when it's a regular also, and it's Louis, and it was kind of very unexpected. But this year, I think, for better or worse, he's put up more of a emotional barrier there, and he's learning to do that. And that's his balance, I think, this year is finding where to put your emotions and when to let them go, because it's not something that's going to stop, So, but I do think he's being less harsh on himself this year in terms of Louis. It's a good example of that.
Fiona, talk about filming the Louis in the viewing room scene, because it felt like last season's On a Walk.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. He's also a really beloved actor on the set. So to say goodbye to him kind of felt like an emotional thing for all of us. And, it was beautiful. I mean, there's like a real communal feeling to shooting the pit where we're all there on set for so long. We shoot for 8.5 months in basically one soundstage. And yeah, it just felt like a little bit of a passing moment, and significant, and yeah, it was beautiful. Good writing too in that scene. I thought his speech was beautiful.
Yeah, it was mad because it was the viewing room. We've never filmed in there before. I did stuff with the Alzheimer's patient there, but I remember the viewing room was kind of jarring for all of us because it was kind of it was like warmly lit, and there were all of us there. Like I think most of the cast were in that scene, which rarely happens. We're really all kind of together. So it was kind of sweet in a way to give Louis that send off. But it was kind of surreal. I just remember, we were so used to having just cold lighting on us all day, and then we're in this like kind of beautifully lit sort of room, and it kind of added to the emotion of that scene. But yeah, it was, Louis is a guy who a lot of us, the actor himself, like we met on the first day, and he was our first kind of introduction to the ED. So for him to be the one that dies, kind of, who we were all with first, and then to say goodbye to him was kind of, I don't want to say a nice moment, but yeah, it was kind of touching.
Wait, I'm getting emotional thinking about it. Yeah, it was Noah was the director for that episode. And at the beginning, Noah was like, I'm going to give this speech. Don't cry. I know you're going to want to cry. And we're like laughing. You're like, oh, classic Noah. That's so cheeky. But it was really hard for me not to cry, to try to keep it together. And I thought about the first time that I had seen a dead body, and to feel like what a lifeless, like see someone with so much life. Like Emma had seen Louis like 30 minutes before, and then see him cold and know that we're the last people to see him and remember him and love him. So yeah, it was a hard scene, but a beautiful one, and I think a scene full of mentorship.
And talk about being directed by Noah in this episode.
I mean, it's just another string to Noah's bow. But yeah, it's amazing. He can kind of really flick that switch into director mode just kind of seamlessly. But he's still very approachable as a person. You know, you don't feel like you can't talk to him about scenes and characters, and you don't feel like you're bothering him ever by asking, you know, just about the minutiae of the scene and like, what should I be doing? He's very available still, but he's amazing. Yeah, he knows the show better than anyone. You know, it's kind of it's his baby, and he knows it inside out. So you feel like you're in the safest hands possible. And it was pleasure to be directed by him.
I felt so lucky when I got the script and I saw who the director was, that I was going to be directed by an actor, and the actor be Emmy-winning Noah Wyle. He was great. There were moments, like, he's just very... One of the things I loved about Noah is that he would talk about the shots in front of the actors. Nothing was a secret. And so it allowed me to listen and to learn and to understand, wait, what is this collaboration? What are people doing, and how can I best serve? Instead of just being like a puppet. Like people move around. I was like, oh, let me be smart and take initiative like Noah does in every shot that he's in. He knows exactly where, like, what to do. He's a seasoned actor. And so I was just like, let me try to steal some of that from Noah.
Because it feels like we're now building to Duke's entrance, because we have Robbie being worried he hasn't checked in, the mention that he helped him fix his motorcycle. What can you say about Robbie and Duke's friendship, and when we'll see him?
Duke represents the only person that we'll ever meet that knows Robbie outside this hospital as something other than doctor, you know, or boyfriend. You know, we've met Robbie's pseudo stepson, Jake, and we've met Jake's mother. And we know that he sees Noelle outside the hospital. But aside from that, we never hear about him interacting or socializing with anybody, ever. So the idea that he even has a friend or somebody that he's been spending time with is interesting. And that relationship is refreshing for Robbie because it's completely separate from this world that he's immersed in. But soon those worlds are going to dovetail together when Duke comes in. And the closer that Robbie gets to the end of the shift and the beginning of this trip, the more all this stuff comes into focus.
Issa, we have like the charting, then like the problem with Al-Hashimi's AI program comes up.
Yeah.
And we're really seeing like Santos struggle, like dealing with like teaching med students and everything. How is she feeling about this new boss? Because I like the moment of her trying to get Robbie to like talk to her about her.
Yeah. Santos, I think, really respects Dr. Robbie and sees him, like, you know, you've seen her kind of not respect authority all the time, but I think he's someone that she really does respect and rely on. And I think he's she likes his kind of no bullshit approach to things, and that he is kind of this like rebel sometimes and will go against the rules and go with his gut. And I think she is able to get away with some stuff with him, not in like I'm going to do bad and get away with it, but in the way of like, you know, I'm a person and I can trust my gut, and like he's going to let me. And I also think in the Langdon thing, like he's the only other person that knows exactly what happened. And I think she feels some kind of security with him and protection from him because he knows what happened. So losing him is, I think, really taking a toll on her, especially since it is supposed to be his last day. And with Langdon coming back, I think it's a lot of emotions of like, I'm losing my security person, and and someone who really triggers me in such a way is coming back. And yeah, I think, I lost my train of thought. What was the original question? Oh, yes. And then with Al-Hashimi coming in,
she's so by the book and she's such a rule follower.
Yeah.
And I think that is like making Santos's brain explode, because now someone's really watching her and making her do everything by the book. And yeah, she just feels a lot less safe.
It's a new person, right? Isn't it? It's like a new person coming into that. On top of it, it's like, well, I don't have that.
She has learned how to survive in an already uncomfortable environment and found her ways to cope with it. And now that even that coping mechanism is being disrupted.
Mm-hmm.
Langdon checks in on Emma and how her first day is going. How much has Emma picked up on like all that history there with Langdon? Anything?
Emma hasn't picked up a thing about Langdon. She is just, I think Emma finds Langdon as the nicest doctor. He's the doctor I think Emma would go to if there was any problem to talk about anything. He's been nothing but a sweetie to her. So yeah, she's totally in the dark about what Langdon did.
And so Emma's really getting a look at an ER, everything a nurse does. And like she has the best person to show her around in Dana, which I love. How much is that helping her? Like, especially as she's seeing like the more tragic parts of the job, like cleaning a dead body, preparing the viewing room, seeing what like Louis meant to everyone. Like how much does it help to have Dana with her?
Oh, enormously. Like it's a huge difference. I actually, now this is not the writer's choice, but it was my choice when I realized the energy I had with Katherine. In my mind, Emma was raised by her grandmother. And so she has like a real soft spot for like older patients. And I think just, yeah, really appreciating like older women giving her guidance. And I think it's just natural to be pulled. Me as like the actress, I was constantly in awe of what Katherine was doing, and that just bled into Emma. There's just so much admiration, and I think 6 was the beginning of a bit of a turn for Emma, actually, where before 6, Emma's kind of like, oh my God, I'm so prepared for this shift. I did nursing school, I aced nursing school, I arrive, oh my gosh, I'm so not prepared for this shift. I didn't realize I would be washing a man in my first hour. And then let me just listen to Dana and she'll get me through. And then we get to this part where Dana's having a bit of emotional difficulties. And it seems like she's not being really real with herself or taking care of herself in this process. And I think Emma sees that. I think that's something really Gen Z are really good at, is like thinking about self-care. And I think in these moments she's able to be like, Dana, what's going on, girl? Like, how can I ask you questions so you can become introspective and realize that maybe you need to change how you're working through these moments, if that makes sense. I think she realizes there's a gift she can give Dana as well.
That kind of leads to the next question, because it's in the viewing room that Emma asks about the hardest part of the job. Dana tells her about burnout and then doesn't answer why she keeps coming back. How did Emma feel about not getting that answer?
I think it's that moment when you realize your teacher is also a student. Like, she's still learning and she still doesn't have everything like figured out. And Emma learns that really quick. I think that when you're a nurse, you have a lot of situations, hard situations, and Emma went through all of those with Dana, and so she sees Dana process them like on the fly, and this is the first time she sees Dana crack. Yeah, so I think that I don't think it's discouraging for Emma that Dana says like doesn't answer that question, but I think it becomes like a mission for Emma of how, if I'm going to survive, if I'm going to keep going as a nurse, I'm going to have that answer for myself. She doesn't have it yet. Maybe I can help her figure out what that answer is, but I'm going to have that answer if I'm going to keep going.
Javani is very against celebrating her birthday, but it feels like everyone's going to be trying to get her to celebrate it. Is there like something else going on there that's going to be continue to be revealed?
About her birthday?
About like why she's so against it?
Oh, there's this great Taylor Swift lyric that's like, I cry every time on my birthday or whatever. And I think birthdays are so much pressure. Like everybody's like I think a lot of people have been like, why is she so resistant to celebrate her birthday? And I was like, I didn't question that for a moment. Like birthdays are so much pressure to have fun. Everybody's looking at you. And so for somebody who's socially a bit inept like her, like it's really nerve-wracking to have all eyes on you. And I think also like she's not somebody who's had like a really robust group of friends in her life. The people that she knows and that she connects with are sort of one-on-one connections. Even in the show, it's like her and McKay have rapport, her and Mateo have rapport, her and Samira have rapport, but those people aren't really a group that really. And so I think for her, like her birthday really makes her her birthday makes her think about how much work she has to do to build her community. And I think it's like just a complicated time. I feel that way about New Year's. Too much pressure.
So much pressure to have fun on New Year. Good Lord.
Like, I don't want it.
You gotta stay up that late.
No.
That's going to be season 3. It becomes clear even before the end of this episode that Roxy's not planning to go home. When did Lena realize it?
I think she realized it at the end of 5, because you see that her pain is not being able to be managed. And with the growing dosage of medication that she is wanting and needing, you know you're going to get to a point where we can't do this at home. And she declines so quickly. And I think part of her decline, I think audiences are going to be like, wait a minute, she declined so quickly. She has been dealing with a level of pain that she wasn't verbalizing to anybody but me. She wasn't saying it to Paul because I think it was hard for him to handle. So, and I think you'll learn that she finally does say to him, like, I've been in pain that you can't even imagine for so long. I've just been trying to manage it. And I think getting to the hospital and not being able to move, etc., I think she, dare I say, gave up, because it's not giving up. I think it's just sort of accepting that this is where you're at. And we just wanted to, she's so tired. She just wants to take a deep breath and not be in so much pain. Even though that's juxtapositioned with having to, leave your family and seeing the looks on her children's faces. Oh my God, the child who plays her oldest son, we barely held it together with him. I'm like, you're in the scene with him and watching him. It makes me want to cry now. I could not hold it together with him.